be a lot based on what these guys tell you. But I think you'll be going on.
Why don't we do it over here?
Okay, we can walk around. I like walking around.
I'm sorry.
Ah, no, I don't mind. I do. It's movement. Any kind of movement's cool with me.
Okay. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Airship tells us that he has a little heat source in the brush. Suspects were last seen going into these houses here. The brush is just on the other side of this freeway brush. We deployed about maybe a half mile down the freeway and just let Gundo go. He went up along the freeway, just trotting up, went into a run, got to one point where he stopped on a dime, made a U-turn, alerts on scent, best alert I've ever seen him do. Comes back around and starts working a large area of thick brush. Works it back and forth for about a minute, goes to one side and hits a barrier of real thick brush, stops, starts to bark. We can see the bushes now moving just above him and hear rustling, and it's obviously the suspect moving on us. Gundo hops over that barrier of brush, hops in with him, gets a hold of him. The suspect stands up fighting him, and they come down, and he was probably 15 yards up the brush. They come down tumbling together all the way down to the apron of the freeway. And he's calling back to me, and he's taken into custody. So it went real well.
We made an announcement before this thing, right?
Right.
And the suspect saw him moving out on you?
After the dog started barking, he started moving. Up until then, we didn't hear anything or see any movement at all. And once the dog barked, then he took off. And that's when Gundo went in.
As is my style.
Okay. This particular search, this was for some pretty bad guys. They'd pointed the shotgun at the officers during the pursuit. They eventually threw a shotgun out the window. So they were wanted for assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. Probably some other crimes too. I'm sure that we'll find out what they are. Suspect had an opportunity to give up. It was a very clear, loud announcement made by the air unit overhead. He chose not to do that. We're dealing with some very violent criminals, and he decided to try to flee again. Once the dog located him, he decided that escape was the best thing to do. And obviously, we're not going to allow this dangerous individual to run into somebody's backyard, into their house, whatever the case may be. We've got to take him into custody then. Unfortunately, this is not one of our normal situations where it didn't result in an altercation. This one did result in an altercation. And it was truly by the choice of the suspect. We would rather not do it this way.
You know what airship that was?
Good deal.
Okay.
Good.
Huh?
Of course he does.
Okay, we
He
observed
just needs
the car
consistency, that's
with
all.
4 male Hispanic, would appear to be gang members in it. We run the plate and it comes back, no
banger.
hits on the plate. When we pull up alongside of it, there's no keys in the ignition, and the steering column had been ripped, which is consistent with stolen vehicles. We attempted to do a traffic stop on the vehicle, and we went in pursuit. They
Who you
fled
run with,
from
man?
us, going on surface streets,
Huh?
freeways. At one
No
point,
one,
we
huh?
entered the freeway, a shotgun comes out the window, and they ended up throwing it, which was subsequently recovered by another unit. The pursuit continued, they threw some more evidence out the window, and when they
You and
attempted to
Gundo
go
are
through
good to
this
go.
alley, which is just east of us here, they got stuck behind a wall, and we went in foot pursuit.
Yeah, Danny wants to do some follow-up with you,
Absolutely.
you know, just to give you a hand here or there.
Of the
But
4 suspects in the custody,
something comes up.
and the other 2 were
Well,
subsequently
within
caught by
reason.
K9 and Officer Blizzard.
Just remember, be consistent with him,
Found the other guy up
and
the
you know,
street.
start him off ahead of time, just like you've been doing.
My partner.
Get the shit out of him, and
He knew he was going to lay me out.
yeah, that was the thing to do.
And then we both said, Danny said, stop here. I said, I agree.
Doesn't have a cap.
We ran a long way, but it's good. It gets it out. It gets it out of the system. He doesn't.
Cool.
tell me about. This is one of the best things about dogs, is that it can cover territory where people have a real rough time if they can function at all. And so you can just kind of ignore me and talk about it as we're walking back, and then go ahead and hop in the car.
Okay.
Jesus, I hate the interstate. Okay, let's
He
go.
did that on purpose.
No shit.
Okay, this is obviously a pretty dense area here, and it's very, very dangerous to go in there and search. It'd be almost impossible for a human being to go in there and search this. It's so dense, it probably wouldn't have found the suspect, as well as tactically, it's just really, really unsafe to go do that. The dog affords us that margin of safety, allowed us to, or indicated that the suspect was in these bushes when he jumped out, was able to take him. There's just no way that we were able to go in here and do this by hand. And extremely dangerous situation for anybody, including dog handlers. This would have taken many, many hours of work to tactically deploy.
We'll cover the rest of it back in the car.
Okay.
Fuck this, I'm not willing to die on the interstate.
Yeah, no kidding. Except for that motherfucker.
I'll need another battery when you get in this. Whatever, we can do it the official way. Well,
Okay.
when we start rolling, go ahead and pick up where you left off. That there are circumstances where the dogs are just, without them, you'd be risking human beings' lives.
Right. When we start,
Yeah, as soon as the light turns, it's best to have the background moving a little bit, otherwise it looks kind of silly.
looks
Just
staged.
sitting in a car and you're not moving.
I see.
Hell, I could do that standing out on the street. You know?
We just did that.
Well, yeah, but we were walking and I was moving.
Yeah.
Don't worry, your headache will clear as soon as I leave.
No, it's a sinus thing. I'll make it. It'll even be better when I get home. I got an incredible wife.
Oh, cool. Me too, unfortunately. She's in another state.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the dog affords us an extra margin of safety by, in most cases, alerting us to the presence of the suspect before we're right on top of him. And there's no question that just the presence or the use of the dog has saved many officers' lives and/or serious injury, as well as something that's not commonly thought about. But there's no doubt in my mind that there's many suspects that are alive today because of the dogs. If you can imagine searching this freeway and having to step and crawl through that heavy underbrush, and all of a sudden coming on top of a suspect that you're looking for that's armed. You know, yes, the suspect threw a shotgun out the window, but nothing says that they couldn't have had more. That was only the shotgun they threw out. So you have to assume that they're armed at the time. The car was stolen, the whole ball of wax. These are some real dangerous guys, and if you come up and are surprised, you're going to be as surprised as he is, and you're going to have natural human reactions. And this prevents that. In most cases, allows us to get ready to take the suspect into custody in a tactical way without a violent confrontation, especially a deadly force confrontation. And in most cases, the suspect is taken into custody without incident, no harm, no foul, and is taken off to jail. Also, in that particular search, that would have taken a tremendous amount of time to search that properly. It had to have been done in a very precise, tactical manner, probably using maybe in some cases SWAT personnel or exceptional heavy body armor, etc. And in this case, we got him within about 5 minutes. So, and he was taken into custody. He was a Vineland Boys gang member. All 4 of the guys that were captured were Vineland gang members, and it's a pretty violent group out here in the valley. A pretty big gang out here.